Hi everyone. Today we will to report the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers. Sa batas na ito ay pag-usapan natin kung ano itong the rights and privileges of the teachers in the Philippines. Republic Act Number 4670, June 18, 1966, the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers. Article 1, Declaration of Policy Coverage. Section 1, Declaration of Policy. Section 1, Declaration of Policy. It means the government duty is to promote and improve the social economic status of the public school teachers. So ay po-promote nila ang social economic status ng public school teachers at ito ay kanilang i-improve ang working condition of our teachers. It should be safe and the terms of employment and career prospect of the teacher in the public should be secured. So, yun ang ginagawa nila upang ma-attract ang ibang teachers na mag-apply sa public school. At kung natanggap naman sila, yan ang tinatawag na restraint or stay of the teaching profession. Next slide. Section 2, Title Definition. This act shall be known as the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers and shall apply to all public school teachers except those in the professional staff of state colleges and universities. As used in this act, the term teacher shall mean all persons engaged in classroom teaching in any level of instruction on full-time basis, including guidance counselors, school librarians, industrial arts, or vocational instructors, and all the persons performing supervisory and administrative function in all schools, colleges, and universities operated by the government or its political subdivisions, but shall not include school nurses, school physicians, school dentists, and other school employees. So, ang tinutukoy dito sa title definition, Section 2 title definition, is tinutukoy dito na ang kapag sinasabing teacher, sila yung mga nagtuturo or tuturo sa students sa loob ng isang classroom. Ito man ay public or private school. At kabilang din dito ang principal, guidance, counselor, librarian, industrial arts, or vocational. At meron din dito ang hindi included. Ito ay ang mga school nurses at dentists at iba pa na hindi sakop ang tinapos na uso.
So, hello po sir and classmates na manonood nitong video na to about sa Article 2, Recruitment and Career. So, makikita niyo po sa screen, Section 3, Recruitment and Qualification. Recruitment policy with respect to the selection and appointment of teachers shall be clearly defined by the Department of Education, provided however that effective upon approval of this act, the following shall continue the minimum educational qualification for teacher applicants. So, pinapakita dito ang mga qualifications ng mga applicants na gustong maging teacher o guro. So, A. For teachers in kindergarten and elementary grades, bachelor's degree in elementary education or BSE Ed. B. For teachers of the secondary schools, bachelor's degree in education or its equivalent, a major and a minor, or a bachelor's degree in arts, science with at least 18 professional units in education. C. For teachers of secondary, vocational, and 2 years technical courses, bachelor's degree in the field of specialization with at least 18 professional units in education. D. For teachers of courses in collegiate level or other than vocational master's degree with a specific area of specialization. So next slide, section 4, probationary period. When recruitment takes place after adequate training and professional preparation in any school recognized by the government, no probationary period preceding regular appointment shall be imposed if the teacher possesses the appropriate civil service eligibility, provided, however, that where, due to exigencies of the service, it is necessary to employ as teacher a person who possesses the minimum educational qualification herein above set forth but lacks the appropriate civil service eligibility, such person shall be appointed on provisional status and shall undergo a period of probation for not less than 1 year and after the date of his provisional appointment. So, basically, hindi na kailangan ng probational period kapag meron ka ng sapat na training or and qualification and civil service eligibility. However, kung isang paaralan na nangangailangan ng mga guro o teacher at kung ikaw ang isang applicant na meron namang minimum educational qualifications pero walang civil service eligibility, doon papasok ang probationary period na not less than 1 year from the date of his or her probational appointment. So, ano lang yung civil service, yung sinasabing civil service eligibility, yun yung pagtitake mo ng civil service exam. So, next slide. Section 5. Tenure of office. Stability on employment and security of tenure shall be assured that teachers as provided under existing laws, subject to the provisions of Section 3 herefore. Teachers appointed on probational status for lack of necessary civil service eligibility shall be extended permanent appointment for the position he is holding after having rendered at least 10 years of continuous, efficient, and faithful service in position. So, basically, it means na pwede ka nang ma-permanent sa trabaho mo with benefits na naaayon sa batas kasi sabi niya sa subjects of the provisions in Section 3, teachers appointed in provisional status or yung walang civil service eligibility or yung hindi nag-take ng civil service exam. With the help of this law, pwede ka ma-permanent sa position na he or she is holding after rendered at least 10 years of continuous, efficient, and faithful service in position. So, yun lang, mapapermanent ka kung ganun katagal ka na nagtatrabaho sa position na yun. Next slide. Section 6. Consent for transportation expenses. Except for costs and as herein otherwise provided, no teacher shall be transferred without his consent from one station to another, where the exigencies of the service require the transfer of a teacher from one station to another. Such transfer may be effected by the school superintendent, who shall be previously notify the teacher concerned of the transfer, and the reason or reasons therefore. If the teacher there's no justification for the transfer, he may appeal his case to the Director of Public Schools or Director of Vocational Education, as the case may be. Pending his appeal and the decision thereon, his transfer shall be held in abeyance, provided, however, that no transfers whatever shall be made 3 months before any local or national election. Necessary transfer expenses of the teacher and his family shall be paid for the government if his transfer is finally approved. So, to simplify this lang, under the circumstances na kailangan matransfer ang isang teacher, sinasabi dito na no teacher shall be transferred without his or her consent from one station to another.
I'm your reporter for today, Ian Braille S. Mamukod. And napuntang topic sa akin is Section 7 to 10. So, ang mauna is Section 7, Code of Professional Conduct for Teachers. Within 6 months from the approval of this act, the Secretary of Education shall formulate and prepare a Code of Professional Conduct for public school teachers. A copy of the code shall be furnished each teacher, provided, however, that where this is not possible by reason of inadequate of fiscal resources of the Department of Education, at least 3 copies of the same code shall be deposited with the office of the school principal or head teacher, where they may be accessible for use by the teachers. So meaning, the Code of Professional Conduct for Teachers applies to all registered teachers. Its purpose is threefold. So when we say threefold, 3 times as great. It serves as a guiding compass as a teacher seeks to steer an ethical and respectful course through their career in teaching, and to uphold the honor and dignity of the teaching profession. Section 8. Safeguards in Disciplinary Procedure. Every teacher shall enjoy equitable safeguards at each stage of any disciplinary procedure, and shall have A. The right to be informed in writing of the charges. B. The right to full access to the evidence in the case. C. The right to defend himself and to be defended by a representative of his choice and or by his organization. Adequate time being given to the teacher for the preparation of his defense. And D. The right to appeal to clearly designated authorities. No publicity shall be given to any disciplinary action being taken against a teacher during the pendency of his case. The Section 8 Safeguards in Disciplinary Procedure for Teachers assure you there's no publicity. It is also mandated in the Republic Act that while the case is ongoing, the matter should remain private to make sure that the respondent's security of tenure is protected, since he is considered innocent until proven guilty. Section 9. Administrative Charges. Administrative charges against a teacher shall be heard initially by a committee composed of the corresponding school superintendent of the division or duly authorized representative, who should at least have the rank of a division supervisor where the teachers belong. As a chairman, a representative of the local, or in its absence, any existing provincial or national teachers organization, and a supervisor of the division, the last two to be designated by the Director of Public Schools. The committee shall submit its finding and recommendation to the Director of Public Schools within 30 days from the termination of the hearings, provided, however, that where the school superintendent is the complainant or an interested party, all the members of the committee shall be appointed by the Secretary of the Education. So, ano nga ba itong mga administrative charges na to? So, number 1, dishonesty, neglect of duty, misconduct, habitual drunkenness, gambling, or yung simpleng pagtanggap lang ng regalo, administrative charges nito. So, makomit mo lang yung isa sa mga nabanggit is pwede ka na makasuhan ng administrative charge. Section 10. No discrimination. There shall be no discrimination whatsoever in entrance to the teaching profession, or during its exercise, or in the termination of the services based on other than professional consideration. So, provided that the hiring and promotion of teacher shall be based on academic and professional merit and fitness. So, kapag sinabi kasing merit, ito yung mga accomplishment ng isang teachers, kaya siya napunta sa pwesto na yun, and kaya siya naging fit para sa trabaho na yun or yung nabigay na position para sa kanya. At dito po nagtatapos ang aking report. Sana po meron po kayo natutunan. Yun lamang po. Thank you po.
Ayan, so I am Michelle Ana Misberto. I am the next reporter. Yung topic ko po is about hours of work and remuneration. Section 13, teaching hours. Any teacher engaged in actual classroom instruction should not be required to render more than 6 hours of actual classroom teaching a day, which should be so scheduled as to give him time for the preparation, correction of exercises, and other work incidental to his normal teaching duties. Provided, however, that where the exigencies of the service so require any teacher may be required to render more than 6 hours but not exceeding 8 hours of actual classroom teaching a day upon payment of additional compensation at the same rate as his regular remuneration plus at least 25% of his basic pay. So, sa teaching hours po, yung pagkakaintindi ko dito is, yung mga public school teacher, hindi sila binibigyan ng more than 6 hours para sa actual classroom or actual teaching nila, na dapat naman bigyan sila ng mahigit 6 hours for preparation na din and checking of activities. Diba kung naaalala nyo nung elementary, diba, kapag katapos ng lesson natin nag-activity or quiz tayo, then hindi na natin nalalaman kung ilan yung score natin, kung ilan ba yung nakuha nating tama. Yun nga, kasi nga kulang sa oras, kaya pag minsan yung mga teacher inuuwi na lang nila yung mga activity or assignment natin para i-check. Then minsan naman sa office na nila na-check yung mga activities. Pero yun nga, dahil nga sa mga exigencies ng serbisyo, nag-required sila na mag-render at least 6 hours para sa actual teaching. Hindi pwedeng umabot ng 8 hours yung actual teaching niya. Then about the 2 hours, gugugulin niya yun for the office para dun sa checking ng mga activities or preparation. Then may additional payment or additional compensation na sila doon. At the same rate is as his regular remuneration plus at least 25% of his basic pay. Yun. So, next is for Section 14, Additional Compensation. Notwithstanding any provision of existing law to the contrary, co-curricular and out-of-school activities and any other activities outside of what is defined as normal duties of any teacher should be paid an additional compensation of at least 25% of his regular remuneration after the teaching has complete at least 6 hours of actual classroom teaching a day. In the case of other teacher or school official not engaged in actual classroom instruction, any work performed in excess of 8 hours a day should be paid in additional compensation of at least 25% of their regular remuneration. The agencies utilizing the services of teachers should pay the additional compensation required under this section. Education authorities shall refuse to allow the rendition of services of teachers for other government agencies without the assurance that the teacher should be paid the remuneration provided for under this section. So, sa additional compensation naman po, sinasabi na wala pang batas yung nag-approve and walang maayos na batas ang pwedeng mag-limit sa oras ng mga public school teachers sa pagtuturo sa... So, basta makomplete ng teacher at least 6 hours of actual classroom para sa teaching a day niya, may additional compensation na sila doon. At least 25% ng regular remuneration nila. Then, yun nga, yung about the additional 2 hours, na para sa office work is may additional payment na din sila. Bale, nag-spend sila ng 8 hours, 6 hours for actual teaching, then yung 2 hours for preparation, and sa office, work office, yung ginugugol nga nila sa office, yung 2 hours. Yun, may additional compensation din sila. At least 25% nga ng regular remuneration nila. Yun. So, next is about Section 15, Criteria for Salaries. Teacher salaries should correspond to the following criteria. First is they shall compare favorably with those paid in other occupation requiring equivalent or similar qualification, training, and abilities. Yun. Dito naman sa pagkakaintindi ko dito is dapat na parehas yung mga binabayad katulad sa ibang trabaho. In short, yung patas sa lahat ng mga bayad for their training and abilities. Then, letter B is, should be such as to ensure teacher a reasonable standard of life for themselves and their families. Yun. Dito naman, sinisigurado ng isang teacher na nasa maayos na standard na siya ng pamumuhay niya. Especially for their families and para na din sa sarili niya. Yun. So, C is, they shall be properly graded so as to recognize the fact that certain positions require higher qualification and greater responsibility than others. Provided, however, that the general salary scale should be such that the relation between the lowest and highest salaries paid in the profession will be of reasonable order. Narrowing of the salary scale should be achieved by raising the lower end of the salary scale relative to the upper end. So, dito naman, sinasabi na kinakailangan nila ng maayos na allocate para ma-recognize na yung mga ilang position is kinakailangan nilang bigyan ng mas mataas na qualification or higher qualification and higit na dapat na responsibilidad nila ito kesa sa mga iba. Pero yun nga, nagkaroon na ng kaayusan na yung kabuuan ng salary scale between the lowest and higher salary scale will be paid in profession. So yun, para mas maintindihan nyo po yung salary scale, nasa next reporter po siya. So yun lang po yung sa akin and thank you. Next reporter na po.
Section 16 Salary Scale. Salary scale of teacher shall provide for a gradual progression from a minimum to maximum salary by means of regular increments granted automatically after 3 years, provided that the efficiency rating of the teacher concerned is at least satisfactory. The progression from the minimum to the maximum of the salary scale shall not extend over a period of 10 years. Sinasabi po sa section na to na yung salary po ng teacher ay may sinusundan na scale from minimum to maximum salary scale. Like every 3 years, nag-i-increase po yung sahod nila according to rating nila. So dapat po makakuha sila ng at least satisfactory para umangat sila. Basta po di aabot ng 10 years ang increase ng sahod ng teacher, maaring magreklamo na dahil ito po ay naayon na sa batas. Section 17, Equality in Salary Scale. The salary scale of teacher whose salaries are appropriated by a city, municipal district, or provincial government shall not be less than those provided for teachers of the national government. Dito naman po, sinasabi na ang pagkakampantay-pantay po ng pagsahod ng mga teacher sa iba't ibang municipality according sa binigay na budget sa kanila ng national government. Kahit na kunwari po sa bundok at sa city, depende sa rangko ng mga teacher. Kuwari ay nasa teacher 1 sila. Pero po, ang isang teacher ay nagtuturo sa city at yung isa naman ay nasa bundok. Pantay pa rin po ang sahod nila. Dahil yun po ay ang pinapatupad na sahod sa national government. Section 18, Cost of Living Allowance. Teachers' salaries shall at the very least keep pace with the rise in the cost of living by the payment of a cost of living allowance, which shall automatically follow changes in a cost of living index. The Secretary of Education shall, in consultation with the proper government entities, recommend to Congress at least annually the inappropriate of the necessary funds for the cost of living allowance of teacher employed by the national government. The determination of the cost of living allowance by the Secretary of Education shall, upon approval of the President of the Philippines, be binding on the city, municipal, or provincial government for the purpose of calculating the cost of living allowance to the teachers under its employ. So dito naman po, kung kanina sinasabi na pantay-pantay ang mga sahod ng teacher, dito naman po naaayon ito sa lugar kung saan naninirahan ng mga guro. For example po, sa city, alam naman po natin na mahal yung mga bayad. Mahal yung gastusin. Hindi katulad sa mga bundok-bundok, ganyan. Pero po, ang pinag-uusapan dito ay depende sa sitwasyon ng kanilang pamumuhay. dito nadadagdagan yung sahod nila, parang top up ba kung tinatawag po nila. Pero kailangan hindi madali ang proseso nito, hindi agad-agad po pwede dagdagan na lang ang sahod nila. Ito po ay nila, parang nagre-request muna po sila bago mapatupad to. Kapag at parang muna po nila, i-search muna po nila kung dapat ba dagdagan ang mga sahod ng mga teacher doon sa location na yon, kung saan talaga bang nahihirapan sila, ganun, nagkukulang sila ng mga resources. For example na lang po, sa bundok, ganun, kapag pumupunta sila doon, tapos nahihirapan sila sa biyahe, ganyan, tapos kulang pa yung mga gamit doon, nagkakaroon po sila ng parang dagdag sahod, parang budget na lang rin po nila doon sa mga gastos doon sa mga bagay na ginagastos nila doon sa location na yon. Dito naman po sa Special Hardship Allowance, Section 19. In areas in which teachers are exposed to hardship such as difficult in commuting to the place of work or other hazards peculiar to the place of employment as determined by the Secretary of Education, they shall be compensated special hardship allowance equivalent to at least 25% of their monthly salary. So, common naman po sa atin yung salitang ito, diba? So, ito naman po ay yung dagdag sahod sa kanila dahil sa tinatawag na special hardship allowance. For example po ay kuwari, kayo ay katulad na lang po nito, ngayon COVID, ganun, pandemic, yung mga teacher natin ay kahit ganito yung sitwasyon, patuloy pa rin silang nagtuturo. So, sa tingin ko po, isa ring example to para dito sa special hardship allowance. At o kaya na lang yung mga nasa bundok, yung mga naka-deploy sila sa malalayong lugar, ganun, malayo sa kung saan sila naninirahan, tas mahirap pa yung daan papunta doon, di ba? Nagkakaroon sila ng ganong parang nadadagdagan yung allowance nila dahil dito. Ito ay, at ang dumadagdag naman po ay 25% sa monthly allowance nila. So napakalaki nang nadadagdag sa mga teacher na nakakaroon ng special hardship na ito. So, yun po. Sa Section 20 naman, salaries to be paid in legal tender. Salaries of teachers shall be paid in legal tender of the Philippines or its equivalent in checks or treasury warrants, provided, however, that such checks or treasury warrants shall be cashable in any national, provincial, city, or municipal treasurer's office or any bank's institution operating under the laws of the Republic of the Philippines. So ang sinasabi naman po dito ay yung legal tender, sabi niya. Salaries to be paid in legal tender. Hindi naman bawat municipal or tama yun, bawat municipal may mga treasurer tayo diyan. May humahawak o kaya nagpapasahod sa mga teacher na naroon. For example, hindi naman po pwedeng isa lang, pero doon sa treasurer na yon, ang ibinibigay sa kanila ng government ay cheque lang. Hindi pwedeng cash dahil 'di ba, sabi nga legal. Kailangan cheque lang yung, hindi baka mamaya kasi iniiwasan nila yung, for example, yung treasurer, kilala niya yung ganitong teacher, ibibigay niya ng cash baka dadagdagan pa yung sahod, dadagdagan niya yung sahod niya, ganun. So, iniiwasan nila yung ganung bagay, kaya check yung binibigay sa treasurer upang itong treasurer ay parang idadalhin niya yun sa bangko, lahat ng mga yun, at doon na kukunin ng mga teacher yung mga sahod nila. Para maiwasan yung pagdagdag at bawas sa sahod ng mga teacher. So, yun po. Section 21, deduction prohibited. No person shall make any deduction whatsoever from the salaries of teacher except under specific authority of law authorizing such deduction. Provided, however, that upon written authority executed by the teacher concerned, one, lawful dues and fees owing to the Philippines Public School Teachers Association, and two, premiums properly due on insurance policies shall be considered deductible. Kuwari, ito naman po ay yung pagbawas sa mga teacher, sa sahod ng mga teacher. Pero mostly ang nababawasan lang sa sahod ng teacher, ano ba? Siyempre yung mga tax, GSIS, SSS, pag-ibig, yung mga ganyan. Yun lang naman po yung most na pwedeng ibawas sa sahod ng teacher, maliban na lang sa policies ng kung saan sila, siguro yung mga pinagkakasunduan nila dun sa school na yon, yung mga policies nila na para mag-cause ng deduction sa sahod nila. Pero minsan po parang sa tingin ko parang hindi rin tama kasi yun kasi hindi pwedeng bawasan ng principal o kaya president yung sahod ng guro niya sa gusto niya lang. Ito po ay sinasabi sa government na binibigay nila yung saktong dapat yung makukuha ng teacher, hindi dapat pwedeng itong mabawasan o kaya madagdagan, ganun. Kasi may mga example na lang po natin, may mga iba kasing school na kapag nag-absent yung teacher, minaminus yun nila yung sahod nila, di ba? Hindi po pwede yun. Kailangan kung ano yung binigay na sahod sa kanya ng national government, yun yung matatanggap niya. At ang babawasan lang doon ay yung mga kailangan talagang babayarin, katulad na ng mga sinabi ko kanina. Yun lamang po.
Article 4. Health measures and injury benefits. Section 22. Medical examination and treatment. Compulsory medical examination shall be provided free charges for all teachers before they take up teaching and shall be repeated not less than once a year during the teacher's professional life. Where medical examination show that medical treatment and hospitalization is necessary, same shall be provided free by the government entity paying the salary of the teachers. In region where the scarcity of medical facilities, teachers may obtain elsewhere the necessary medical care with the right to be reimbursed for their traveling expenses by the government entity concerned in the first paragraph of this section. So, bago magturo ang isang public teachers, dapat ay sila ay mag-medical examination at ito ay provided lahat ng bayarin ng ating government. Kumbaga lahat ito ay free charges sa kanila. If wala namang pwedeng o malapit na pag-medical exam sa kanilang lugar, pwede rin ito sa ibang lugar. Ganon din, ay sagot din ng lahat ng gastusin o tinatawag na pamasahe at pag-medical examination ng isang public school teachers. Section 23, Compensation for Injuries. Teachers shall be protected against the consequences of employment injuries in accordance with existing laws. The effects of the physical and nervous strain on the teacher's health shall be recognized as compensable occupational disease in accordance with existing laws. So, ang compensation for injuries naman ay katulad din ng Section 2 na sinasabi ay ganun din dito. If magkaroon ka man na tinatawag na compensation for injuries, or if you have an injury while you're performing inside of your duty, ito din ay sagot ng gobyerno. Kung magkano man ang gastusin na natamo mong injury. So, yan ang kinangganda ng isang public school teachers dahil ito ay madaming benefits. Yun lang.
Leave and Retirement Benefits. Section 24. Study Leave. In addition to the leave privileges now enjoyed by the teachers in the public schools, they shall be entitled to study leave not exceeding 1 school year after 7 years of service. Such leave shall be granted in accordance with the schedule set by the Department of Education. During the period of such leave, the teacher shall be entitled to at least 60% of their monthly salary, provided, however, that no teacher shall be allowed to accumulate more than 1 year's study leave unless he needs an additional semester to finish his thesis for a graduate student in education or allied courses. Provided further that no compensation shall be due to the teacher after the first year of such leave. In all cases, that study leave provided shall be counted for seniority and pension purposes. The compensation allowed for 1 year's study leave as herein provided shall be subject to the condition that the teacher takes the regular study load and passes at least 75% of his courses. Study leave of more than 1 year may be permitted by the Secretary of Education but without compensation. So, ang study leave is para siya sa mga teachers na kumukuha ng second courses. Nag-study leave sila para ma-fulfill nila yung mga ginagawa nila like thesis, yung mga para pumasa sila sa second courses nila. And then pag nag-study leave sila, ang makukuha lang nilang sahod is at least 60% ng kanilang monthly salary. Yung 40% siguro mapupunta sa sa substitute teacher. And then pag nag-study leave ka, ang kadalasan kasi pag nag-study leave ka, ang principal lang ang pumipirma pag hindi siya lalagpas ng 1 year. Pero pag lumagpas na ng 1 year, ang pipirma na doon is yung Secretary of Education. Indefinite leave. An indefinite sick leave of absence shall be granted to teachers when the nature of the illness demands a long treatment that will exceed 1 year at the least. But dito naman is kapag ang teacher naman daw, sinasabi dito, pag ang teacher is nagkaroon ng sakit na kailangan ng pangmatagalang paggagamot, ay indefinite leave ang tawag. Example nito is yung mga buntis na mga anak na, teacher na buntis na mga anak na, kailangan nilang mag-study leave, ay indefinite leave, para mabawasan yung stress nila, ganon. Para hindi lalo lumala yung mga sakit nila. And then, siyempre may substitute teacher din dyan. Salary increase upon retirement. Public school teacher having fulfilled the age and service requirement of the applicable retirement laws shall be given 1 range salary raised upon retirement, which shall be basis of the computation of the lump sum of the retirement pay and the monthly benefit treat after. Sa salary increase upon retirement, dito naman is kung magre-retire ka na, then syempre mabibigyan ka ng extra salary doon. Dito yata is pag magre-retire ka na, nag-i-increase yung yung monthly salary mo. Kasi 'di ba, pag sa teacher kasi pag nag-aaral pa sila tumataas din yung sahod nila. Tapos pag tumaas yung sahod nila, then siguro ina-add nila, tapos kukumputin nila para makuha mo yung retirement pay mo. Teacher organization. Section 27. Freedom to organize. Public school teachers shall have the right to freely and without previous authorization both to establish and to join organization of their choosing, whether local, national, to further and define their interest. So, dito naman sa freedom to organize, yun nga, from the word freedom, may karapatan ng mga guro na mag-build ng mga organization o sumali sa mga organization like international organization or local organization. Then, Section 28, discrimination against teacher prohibited. The rights established in the immediately preceding section shall be exercised without any interferences of coercion. It shall be lawful for any person to omit any acts of discrimination against teacher which are calculated to siyempre dito naman yung bawal silang mag-discriminate ng teacher. Ganun lang siguro to. Make the employment of a teacher subject to the condition that shall not join an organization or shall relinquish membership in an organization. The cause of dismissal of otherwise prejudice a teacher by reason of his membership in organization up because of participation in organization activities outside school hours or without consent of the proper school authorities within school hours. Dito naman is syempre pag sumali ang mga guro ng ng mga organization, dapat hindi natatamaan yung working hours nila. Kasi may mga karapatang parusa yung mga yun. O kaya pag sakaling matatamaan yung klase nila ng ginagawa niya sa organization nila, pwede siyang humingi ng permission sa school. Sa school principal para magawa niya yung mga activities ng organization na kinasasangkutan niya. To prevent him from carrying out the duties laid upon him by his position in the organization or to penalize him for the action undertaken in the capacity. So yun nga, di ba? Pag ang teacher ay may organization and then natatamaan yung working hours niya sa school, may karampatang parusa yon, siyempre. May karampatang parusa yon sa mga ginawa niya. Section 29, National Teacher Organization. National Teacher Organization shall be consulted in the formulation of national education policies and professional standards and the formulation of national policies governing the social security of the teacher. So, dito sa National Teacher Organization, siguro organization siya ng mga guro na siguro may mga activities, mga workout na ginagawa dito para mas lalong maintindihan ng mga guro kung ano yung mga policies na ginagawa nila, saka kung ano yung tamang ginagawa ng mga teachers sa organization. So, yun naman po. Ako po si JR Macalino. Salamat po sa pakikinig.
Ayun, no? So, good morning everyone. Good morning, sir. Thank you for watching this video. No? So, yung report natin for today is about administration and enforcement. So, section 30, rules and regulations. So, the Secretary of Education shall formulate and prepare the necessary rules and regulation to implement the provision of this act. Rules and regulation issued pursuant to this section shall take effect 30 days after publication in a newspaper of general circulation and by such other means as the Secretary of Education deems reasonably sufficient to give interest and present general notice of such issuance. So, dito sa rules and regulations, so, familiar naman tayo about dito sa rules and regulation, ba? Parang sa, ano lang yan, sa first day of school. So, may rules and regulations. So, ganun din dito sa administration and enforcement. So, tinutukoy niya dito, um, the Secretary of Education shall formulate and prepare the necessary rules and regulation. So, inahanda mo na yung rules and regulation sa administration, no? So, and implement the provision of this act. So, inahanda yung rules and regulation bago ipatupad tong act na to. Ganun lang siya, no? So, para mahanda yung mga teacher kung ano yung mga gagawin nila, di ba? Ganun lang siya. Section 31, budget and budgetary estimate. The Secretary of Education shall submit to Congress annually the necessary budgetary estimate to implement the provision of the Act concerning the benefits herein granted to public school teacher under the employ of the national government. So dito din, ganun din siya, no? So budgetary estimate, no? So yung mga nasa DepEd kailangan nilang magpasa ng mga files sa Congress para malaman ng Congress kung ano yung mga kinakailangan ng mga bawat school, no? Bawat kailangan ng school, like budget, no? Kung mga may event na gagawin para hindi magkulang yung mga pera na gagamitin, no? And then para hindi rin magkulang yung mga inaano nila sa mga teacher, di ba? No, so ganun lang siya. Ganun lang siya sa simple. And no, susunod, no? Penal provision. A person who shall wilfully interfere with the retains of core any teacher in the exercise of these rights guaranteed by this act, or who shall in any other manner commit any act to defeat any of the provision of this act, shall upon conviction be punished by a fine of not less than 100 pesos or more than 1,000 pesos, or by imprisonment in the discretion of the court. No, so dito naman panel provision, no? So parang natakal na rin to sa mga previous reporter, no? So parang kapag ang mga teacher is may nagkamali and then or nagreklamo sa mga pinapatupad na batas is mapepenal, no? no, mapaparusahan o in 100 pesos or more than 1,000 pesos, or pwede silang makulong, no? Pwede silang mapunta sa korte, no? Pero may laban pa rin sila, no? Yun yung mga pinaglalaban ng teacher na rights na kasalungat sa Congress or sa government, no? Or administration, no? So, ganun lang siya. If the offender is a public official, the court shall order his dismiss from the government service. So, kung tama naman pala yung pinaglalaban niya, no? Kung tama lang yung pinaglalaban niya, sasabihin niya dito, if the offender is a public official, the court shall order his dismiss from the government. So, papadismiss na, no? Ganun lang siya. Section 33. Repealing clause. So, dito naman, no? All acts or parts of act, executive order, and their implementing rules consistent with the provision of this act are highly repealed, amended, or modified accordingly. So, dito naman daw sa repealing clause, yung mga kasalungat sa batas, sa mga administration na lumalaban or yung mga batas na hindi napatupad, no? Yung mga batas na hindi napatupad, na hindi naman magiging maayos sa school or sa mga eskwelahan, ay dinideklara pa rin hindi valid or hindi pa rin siya valid. Ganun sa doon sa repealing clause. Yung mga batas na hindi valid. Ganun din siya sa severability clause. If any provision of this act is declared invalid, the remainder of this act or any provision not affected thereby shall remain in force and in effect. So dito naman, no, may pagkakasalungat lang sila. Kung baga sa repealing clause, yung mga batas na hindi naman dapat ay dinideklara pa rin invalid. Dito naman, no, so yung mga natitirang batas, no, na pwede naman maging maayos sa mga eskwelahan, no, sa more sa pangkalahatan ng eskwelahan, no, na hindi naman nakakaapekto, yung mga natitirang batas na yon ay magiging invalid, ay magiging valid pala. I mean, so sorry sa mistake. Magiging valid, no. Ganun lang siya. Yun lang yung pagkakaiba nila. Yung repealing clause is yung mga batas na hindi naman magiging maayos sa eskwelahan ay mananatiling invalid, no. So dito naman yung mga invalid, no, o yung mga valid, no, yung mga natitirang batas na hindi naman nakakaapekto ng masyado sa mga eskwelahan is mananatili pa rin valid or pwede pa rin ipatupad. Ganun lang siya, no. So dito sa section 35, the last but not the least, no, so this act shall takes effect upon its approval, no. Ganun lang siya kasimple. This act shall takes effect upon this approval, no. So yung mga batas, itong batas na to, na sabi niya kasi this act, so itong batas na to na hindi naman nakakaapekto, mga batas na to or itong mga batas na to na hindi naman nakakaapekto, shall its approval, no. So approve na siya, parang ganon yung mga batas na to. So yun lamang po, and thank you and God bless.